Hello and welcome to this class on Civil 3D modelling a roundabout. My name is Ian Robinson and I'm the infrastructure consultant here at Greytech. I travel around from my base here in the UK helping customers get the most out of their infrastructure design and BIM related software. This includes training, consultancy, presentations, bit of social media. My main focus is Civil 3D, Map 3D, GIS being my background. InfoWorks, Recap for your point clouds, and Navisworks for your federated models and clash detection, and now BIM 360. There are 4 pillars to what we do here at Greytech: create, simulate, fabricate and manage. We work with the Autodesk portfolio and our own PowerPack enhancements to aid the creation of construction and manufacturing deliverables. And we then combine this with the use of our simulation products to verify those deliverables, and this enables us to drive them into the fabrication process, and we of course manage them deliverables too. Along with our CDE products, we link to internal and external platforms. This class is very much in the create phase of the project, using Civil 3D and junction design, and in particular roundabouts. Now, roundabouts, there's lots of options and we have to work to design standards. They've got to be adhered to. DMRB, or the Design Manual for Roads and Bridges. It's recently been updated, mainly an organisational thing, but this class is not about that. It's also not going to teach you how to design a roundabout. There's too many options out there, and every engineering job requires a unique solution. And you have to be an engineer to learn how to design them. There's some mini roundabouts that are just on a tilted plane with a single crossfall, and there's roundabouts that are effectively just a bit of paint on the road, right the way through to the mad, crazy, flipping neck roundabouts. Anyone been here? This is the magic roundabout. There's 2 I know of in the UK. This one is in Swindon, and it's a bit odd. You drive anti-clockwise around the main island. And the other one that I've been to is the one in Hemel Hempstead. You travel around the central island in both directions, so you can either go anti-clockwise or you can go clockwise. It feels very, very weird. You'll be pleased to know this class is not doing anything like that either. Now we're just going to do a normal roundabout, and we're going to do 3D modelling in Civil 3D, and it's about these techniques on how you model in Civil 3D. Hopefully we won't go off track at any time, but you never know, do you, with these sort of things. Let's just get on with it. Things first, we need a tilted plane. So I'm just looking at the contours and seeing that over here is high and over here is low. There's lots of ways of drawing a tilted plane. I usually just stick a polyline on there, or a line, I'll do it, and just run it across where I want to put it. I'm not bothered about the layer that it's on at this stage, because I'm about to convert it into a feature line. So I'll just do feature line from objects, enter. I do need to put it on a site, so I'm going to put it on a site. I'll put it on a new site, and I'll call this one tilted plane. So I'm not bothered about the style, because I'm actually going to freeze it off in a minute anyway. I'll just call it TP. I'll erase the existing, and I want to pop it on the surface. So I'm going to put it on the existing ground, but without intermediate grade breaks. So that means I know what the level is here and here. We're going to have a look in the elevation editor for that. In there. Okay, so I mean, I could flatten it or whatever, because I'm going to put the plane across in this direction here. So if I just set that to 52.1 and 52.1. Okay, and then I'll use my grading tools to create a surface which will be my tilted plane. A new one on me, this. So we will create the grading group, tilted plane, TP. Might as well create a surface, don't need volumes or anything like that. and we will just grade it forwards and backwards, and we'll put a slope on it. So we'll go distance and grade. So I'll do it by percentage. Okay, so we'll print grading, and we'll set the grading side. Entire length, yes. Distance, I just want to make sure I cover where these start splitting. I need to cover them. Okay, gradient, that one is the low side, so -1. Do it again for the other side. And we'll go +1. Now the beauty with this method is that it's now dynamic. All I need to do to adjust it is adjust that feature line. Okay, so if I wanted to do that, or do that, or edit the grading and change the slope or the distance, it's all very doable. Okay, so I've got my rebuild, and all I've done there is create a flat plane. So that's what we're going to put our roundabout on. Shut that down. Let's just freeze them off. We don't need to see them, so don't freeze them if it's a surface. Obviously, you guys know that if you're a Civil 3D user. But we could freeze these off here, so I'm going to pop them on a layer that is not visible. Okay, so I'm just going to simply place all of these elements on a hidden layer. Okay, so now I have some form of levels. Now profile that. Going to profile this crown around the roundabout, and we're going to add in the existing ground and the tilted plane, because the tilted plane is what we're going to build our roundabout on. I'm not worrying about all the settings at this stage, so that's what we're going to build our roundabout on. So let's go and start. If we put on a temporary assembly, we can just put a surface on that assembly and it'll just give us something to target. So we'll do that. So we'll do corridor, create a corridor, call it temp roundabout levels, and we'll put it on the roundabout crown, and we'll put it on the tilted plane, and we'll use that temporary levels, no targets. Just set the frequency to 1 meter. It's a complete circle, so you only have to do that bit. Yeah, and we'll just change that so that it is assemblies with links shown. So effectively that's all we've done. We've just given ourselves a temporary roundabout. So all you need to do now is put a surface on that. We call temp roundabout levels. I'm happy with that. We'll just put the top levels on. You don't have to do an awful lot on here. There's very little. I'll just show you it. Next time I do this, I'll just put it on a hidden thing. So we've just got a surface which has a crown on it. That's what we're going to target. So just change it to a style that's not visible. And put that on a layer that is hidden. I just have to go and make that layer. So here you go. There we go. If I hover my mouse, you'll see that we've got levels. Brilliant. Your next task is to profile road A, B, C and D centre line to target this temporary levels. To do that, simply make a surface profile that includes the existing ground and the temporary levels, and then draw your design on top of it. Okay, and what we need to do here is, what did I do wrong there? Profile creation tools, and we'll go in here and we'll just draw straights to start with. Go down to about there, across to our temporary roundabout, and we can draw over it just like so. So let's put our vertical design in there. This vertical design here we could do with not interfering with the actual roundabout, so we're going to move it over about 20 meters or so, and then we'll just put some vertical curves in. And I'll put a 5 meter one in, and here I'll put a 25 meter one in, like so. And I've done that on all 4 roads. There you go. So you're just targeting that temporary surface on all 4 roads. And the last one is there. The next task is we need to profile these crown lines here. Now, what we need is we've got something to target here. We can set that crown line to target the surface where the roundabout is here. Brilliant. But we need a surface at this end of it and at this end of it to be able to hit that target as well. So that all the profile, so all the vertical design for the centre line, the crown on both sides, all land at the same point, which is the crown of road B back here. Same with road A, D, etc, etc. So in order to do that, we could just do with some levels where them crowns meet, and we can do that again with temporary corridors. So I'll go into corridors. I'm going to call this one temp, capitalize it, temp road A, and again I'll use that I'll use road A, but I'll use that temporary levels when I've done, and I'll need to do it on the centre line vertical obviously, so that it ties in with that. And we don't need to do it from start to finish, it just gets a bit awkward. So on road A, as long as I start, so this is where the crowns meet, these dumbbells here, as long as I start a bit before there, so I'll start here and I'll finish a bit further up, maybe up to about here. And again, I'm just going to set the frequency to 1. There are straights and curves now, so we need to probably do both of them and rebuild the corridor. Okay. One top tip, you know how that's always going into plan view, and you always want it to look like that when you're actually doing the design. If you just go into your settings and go into your corridor settings and your commands, and you create corridor commands, you can change it, can't you? Again, so code set style, it's going to use that one. Now it's going to use that one. So when I next make it, that should be fine. Okay, surface that just like we did before. So we'll put a corridor surface on there. We'll add in just the top links. Don't need to see it. Oh, just in case the boundary will cause us grief, I'll put the boundary on it, but we don't need to see it. Rebuild the corridor and then switch it to that frozen corridor layer. And if you want to just check that there are levels there, if you just hover your mouse there, you should have levels on the Z for the existing ground and also levels for that temporary road surface there. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do all 4 of them. So just so you get a snapshot of what I've just done there, I've just created these corridors and put surfaces on them. So now you can see that I can profile each of them arms onto the corridor and make them all tie in. So the next task is to go and make the profiles. Let me just hide them again. And we'll go profile, create a surface profile, and if we do crown A to B, add in the existing ground, add in road A temp, road B temp, and add in the temporary roundabout levels, we'll have 3 things to target. I'll just set the styles. So we'll go style 1, style 2, and style 3, and draw that. Okay, so as long as we tie in on there, tie in on there, and tie in on there, all our crown lines will tie in. So we just need to go profile, create surface profile, no, create profile tools, accept the defaults, and we're going to tie all these in. I'm just going to do it with straight lines to start with. So I need to go from there to there to there to there to here. I'm going to stop at this point here because there's a nice big curve in there, and then it looks like it goes to a straight. Now this part here is where the crown line here goes around there, and they need to match exactly. So one way of doing this, there are 100 others, is just to add points in at all the critical points on that profile. And obviously it's going to tie in precisely. I've made a mistake there. Don't worry if you make mistakes, just crack on. And there's levels of tolerances you don't worry about. Okay, so where you've made a mistake, so that's the one there, and I want it on that one there, just drag it in. This one here, I've added an extra point, just delete it. Okay, and obviously the labels go wild if you're using the standard labels, so just delete them. Okay, so that ties in. Now here, it's obviously a bit awkward because we need to get them to tie in, but you don't need to tie the crown in exactly. As long as it's matching at this point, you don't worry about it at that point. Okay, so if I just drag that across and back onto the line, I can put a curve in there if I want to curve it, but most of the time you don't worry about being that accurate, do you? There's a vertical curve. Okay, so now we need to tackle this end here. So I would probably just on here put a fixed curve. 1, 2, 3, and then between the two put a floating curve, a free curve. I meant a free curve. There you go. So I've got a curve all the way to there, and then I need to make sure it ties in here. We could just have a look and see if it is straight. It could well be straight, that. So I'll just draw a straight line from there to there. It's not quite straight. So again, I'll put a free curve in there. A fixed curve, sorry. As long as I guarantee a tie-in at the end, I aren't worried. And then you can put a free one between again. Between that one and that one. That will be a sag. I'm not sure. I think it'll be a sag. it going to fit one in? Don't think it is it? Yeah, I think that's fitted one in. If you're unsure whether, because I've used two colours, obviously you can change the colours. You could just very, very briefly isolate it and just see if it has joined up. Difficult to tell with them extension lines, isn't it? So what could we do with them? We could just turn them off, couldn't we? I'll just go in here and turn off line extensions and curve extensions, and it's tied it in nicely, so that's good. So that's what you're going to design effectively. Isolate objects, end objects isolation. Now go and do that for the other 4 arms. So I'll go ahead and do that now. And there we are, there's the other 4, or all 4 should I say. So now we can go and do the corridor. One thing I would recommend is keeping things tidy in here. And this is what these folders are for, aren't they? Where we can just drag things into the folders. Just make things a little bit neater. Like so. So I've got my tilted plane and then I'll have my corridor surface. Similarly in here, corridors, let's stick all of them in there. So it's out of the way. So you're only looking at what you need to look at. And of course I've used my alignments, offsets in the right place, etc. Okay, so it just makes life a lot easier. Right, let's start with the corridor now. We need the assembly. Okay, so we'll just create a roundabout assembly. Now the widths of the roads, we can use targets, so it doesn't really matter an awful lot, but I'll put a curb on the right hand side. So let's just do that. Let's just put a British curb in there, and I'll just stick I don't know, an HB2, that'll do. And tap. Obviously I need to just overhang the base course. Oh, probably the sub base actually. Put that back to 0 and the sub base 0.275. That's better. Okay. So this here is our roundabout assembly, and let's put that on the roundabout crown as our starting point. So corridor, roundabout, and we'll start with our roundabout crown, and we'll use our profile tilted plane, and we'll use our assembly roundabout, and with no target surface. Come over on the other screen, here we go, and I'll just set that frequency to 1 meter. Okay. Now I have set it the right width, but you could target the ICD and the roundabout. But basically that is sat on the tilted plane, so it's got a nice flow on it. We now need to target, and I'm just going to model A and B to show you how to do it, and then I'll show you the result of everything being done. So we'll probably start with A, with a standard bit of road, and we need to take it to where that split occurs. So it's this dumbbell here. Okay, so we'll start with a standard road. So I'll do it from here, roundabout. We'll add a baseline, which is going to be road A. Road A is going to be set on the one we designed. and we'll add a region which will be our new road, and in that region we'll start at 0 and we'll finish at that dumbbell. Okay, we'll set the frequencies 10 and 5. Okay, and rebuild. Okay, now I've put a 5.5 in, but that's a bit wider. We could set targets, or I could just put a wider bit of road in. So I will just widen that road. No, I think I'll set targets. It'll be easier if we set targets, and then we can have different widths, can't we? So let's do that. So I'll just edit the target of that region. And we'll just say right hand carriageway wants to go to this alignment, and the left hand carriageway wants to go to this alignment. Hit OK, hit OK, and that'll widen it to there. Excellent. Next is to do the split. So we want a lane on the right, on the left, should I say, with a lane on the right that targets this centre line and then targets this line here. Now, we don't want this roundabout here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set the targets on that roundabout. So the roundabout, the lane on the left. So the lane on the left is going to target my A to B crown, my B to C crown, my C to D crown, and my D to A crown. Now it also needs to target the ICD, doesn't it? Otherwise it'll obviously just keep going forever. So we need to target the ICD and we need to target the nearest. So let's go back into the corridor properties and just tell it to target the ICD. Target the nearest. And there you go. Anybody uses AVT, that will look very familiar. That is our roundabout. So now we can have a single crossfall, which is going to tie in precisely on there. 2.5% crossfall out. That's a 2.5% crossfall. Beautiful. Now there's a little bit of tidying up to do because that 1 metre doesn't necessarily hit them, so we need to add in these points here, and you can just add them in as sections. Okay, so we'll pick the baseline and we'll just go and add in all of these crossing points. That one, etc. So I'll just go around and do all of them. That one hit spot on by the looks. No. Always check it. Blooming close though, wasn't it? And then we should be back to the beginning, which we are. Okay, so that's tidied that up. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a lane down here with one on the left and one on the right that targets this line here, both horizontally and vertically. Then it needs to target around the ICD, so we need a profile of the ICD, and we can use the temporary corridor surface for the roundabout. So let's just quickly add that in. So if we go profile, create a surface profile of the ICD, and add in the temporary roundabout levels. Just change the style to something else. I'll just draw it. We don't actually need to draw this, but I'll show you it so you can see what it is. I'll put it underneath that one because it should match that fairly closely. And there it is. Okay, now it's sometimes a good idea, isn't it, to just show the surface profile at the same time. So I'll just go back in and add that in. And this is quite useful to show you this because everybody, if you forget to add one in, some people go back and do the whole thing again. Just add it in and hit OK and it'll appear. So that's what the surface does, where the ICD is. So we've now got a vertical level down this centre line, a vertical level around the ICD. Now from here to here, we just need to target the ICD, which we know is at 2.5%. So we could do it vertically or not, it doesn't really matter. So we need an assembly that's got a lane on the left and a lane and footpath, a lane and footpath on the left and just the lane on the right, and then just the lane on the left, and then back to lane on both sides, like that. So this one here is my split crown one, and this one here is my lane on the left one. So let's go and add that one in. Okay, so we're going to the corridor properties and we add a baseline, which is the A to B crown. Make sure you pick your vertical profile, and we'll add a region in, and we'll start off with our split crown, and we'll finish that at this point here. Okay, and again we'll set that to 1 meter. We could do with setting the settings so it's always at 1 meter, save us going into there. Okay, so the carriageway on the left needs to target the offset AB, and the carriageway on the right needs to target first of all road A, and then it needs to target the ICD, but it needs to do that both horizontally and vertically. So we need to make sure we do that on both. ICD, temporary roundabout levels. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay, just check the levels. And that's targeting nicely. Okay, we may have to just tidy up that little corner down there. No, it looks okay. Maybe that one there is slightly off. And you see there, it just needs that added point in there. You can see how it's missing where it targets there. But again, that's easy, isn't it? Just go in and add a section, pick your baseline, and add in the section where they cross, like we did before. Okay, so the next section would be on the left only. So we'll just add a region, and it'll be crown left only. And we need to finish that one when we get to this point here. Okay, and then on the frequency, again, we'll drop it to 1 meter. You could also, you know, add the extra assembly in. You could add an extra assembly in at that crossing point there, at this point, and that would work. You see it adds it in, or did it twice? Targets, we just need to make sure the carriageway on the left targets the offset left. Okay, hit OK, hit OK, and rebuild. Again, as I say, I'll just carry on with this. Normally we just show you it bit by bit. So we're getting there, and then we'll go back to the split crown after that. So insert a region after split crown, and we'll take that start to finish. Frequency 1 meter, frequency 1 meter. Again, we can add that extra point in if we wanted to. No, I've already done it, haven't we? We don't need to do that. So I'll just OK that and set your targets. Again, carriageway on the left is targeting offset left. Just keep it logical. It's just a very logical process, so have it in your head. Now we're going to target road B, aren't we, and the ICD. And then for the right hand lane, for the vertical, it'll be road B and ICD, temporary roundabout levels. Hit OK, and we'll rebuild the corridor. Looking good. Let's just object view it, check that we're doing it. Which we are. And now it's a case of repeat for B to C, C to D, and D to A. So I'll just go and finish that off. It's exactly the same process. I'll finish that off and I'll show you the end result. Okay, that's B to C crown done, and you can see it's exactly the same as that one. The only difference really is I'm targeting here the ICD and road B, and here ICD and road C. So it's exactly the same process, and we'll just go in and add another baseline, etc. I'll just rebuild it so you can see what I've done. So I've just followed exactly the same process down here now. Object view it. And there we go. All nicely targeted. And then we could just build the road all the way down there. I'm not going to bother. I'll just carry on going around here by adding in another baseline. So it's add baseline. Now I'm going from C to D. Pick your profile. Add your region. Split crown. Start and end. Just see where the start is. So the start will be there at the beginning. So I'm happy with that. And I need to end where I get to this point here. Frequency a meter. Remember to add in that extra one. I missed it. I pressed the wrong button on my mouse. I'm sure you've all done it. Okay. And then set your targets. So it's exactly the same process. I'll just carry on. So carriageway on the left is now offset. We're going around, aren't we? So it's C to D. Carriageway on the right is ICD and road C. Same vertically, carriageway on the right, ICD, roundabout levels, and road C, your design. Okay, I shall carry on. Add a region after. Crown left only. So I want to finish that one at this point here. Again, 1 meter. I really should do the settings, shouldn't I? It would have made life a lot easier. And target. Carriageway on the left is just the offset. So this is now, yep, C to D. Etc. Now I will just show you the finished result. Okay, and there we are. So where this was nice and perpendicular, where both the crowns came in at the same point, we could just put a lane on there. But if you look at these ones here, obviously this crown is much longer than this split crown. So what we need here is a half section. Same here and same here. So we can put them on and we'll just use the centre line. So we need to one on the right or one on the left. So road A is travelling in this direction. So road B is travelling in the other direction. Road C is travelling in this direction. So road C on the right, road A on the right, and road D is travelling in this direction, so it's on the left. So all we need to do is for road A, so road A, we go from naught to the end there, so it's to that point there. So if we add a region afterwards, add a region after, and we want it on the right, don't we? So I've just added one crown right only. And there it is, and we want to finish that one at this point here. Okay, frequency, I'll just go 10 and 5, as you can see it, and then target, the carriageway on the right wants to target my D to A offset. And let's have a look at that. Corridor's getting quite big now, isn't it? Look. There we go. Very nice. Let's have a quick look in 3D. Excellent. I'll go and do the others, and then we're finished. We'll put a surface on it. And there we are. Nice and neat. So we can just add road D up to this point, road C up to that point, etc, etc. Okay, like we've done with A, adding the road in there. There's no need at this stage. Let's have a look at the final result. There we are, all targeted, everything tying into everything else, and now we need to just put a surface on it, and then we'll just examine that surface. So if I go in here, first things first, we don't really need to see the corridor as with the links, so I'll just show it as plan view only, like so, and then we'll add in our surface. Add in the top links, we'll set it to contours, 1.5, overhang correction for the top links, and what I would also recommend doing is adding in as many of the feature lines as you think is necessary, any of the braking feature lines, so the crown, the lane, the top of curb, the back of curb, and the back of edge and the top of edge. I'm going to add them all in, why not? Obviously some of them are repeating each other, but I'm okay with that. And then we'll add in the corridor extents as a boundary, and then we'll hit OK and rebuild the corridor. And there we are. There's the result. So if I just view that in the object viewer, you can see that result with the contours. Obviously there's, in every example there are engineering challenges that you have to go through, but in terms of a methodology for modelling a Stockdale method roundabout, that's perfect. So now I think it's time to go to any questions.